Welcome everybody, thanks for joining me today in this training session regarding getting started with super alignments, and I'll be demonstrating the IP method today. My name is Steve Kostakis and I work for Extra Dimension Solutions, or also known as EXDS, in the training and technical support role for 12D model software. So a bit of agenda I've got today is what are the properties of a super alignment, and we'll go through that in a live sort of demonstration after this PowerPoint presentation. Where would you use a super alignment in sort of the industry? Where in the main menu can you create a super alignment, and also show you some of the properties. And last of all, how to convert an existing string into a super alignment, whether it's a survey string you got from a surveyor or a CAD string that you bring in from a CAD program, how we can do that. And some other little bits and pieces in regards to a super alignment. So what are the properties of a super alignment? It's essentially, it's a string type that has a horizontal and vertical geometry parts that are independent from each other. So you can see on the screenshot I've got here, in the top you've got a plan view of the super alignment, which runs from left to right, and it's got some straights and curves and transitions in there. And the changes for the super alignment is increasing from left to right. And just down below that, you can see the elevation on a section view for the super alignment. Again, it's got sort of geometry. And again, just to re-emphasize, it's one string, but it does have a separate horizontal and vertical part. Just got a bit of a diagram here, just on a plan view, so showing some horizontal geometry. So essentially, the IP method that I'm going to show today is what we're going to be using to create our super alignment. And you can see here on the diagram, you've got HIPs, which are your horizontal intersection points. So essentially, you lay down all your straights through the IPs, and that will be the red sort of straights you can see there. Once we've established that, then we can put our curve radiuses in there, and that you can see by the green radiuses there. And also there is the option to put in transitions between the straight and the curve. And they're also known as spirals. Generally for more higher speed road designs, you may need a spiral in there. And it's important to note here, for a super alignment, in plan, you've got an X, Y position for each point, as you would normally have, but you'd also have a chainage. So, and the chainage is the key that links the horizontal to the vertical. Next, we've got a section view. Again, just some geometry here. The straight sort of grades there are the red ones, and then we can also put in our curves, our crest and sag curves, for instance, on the road design. So along the bottom, you've got an increasing chainage, which you can see there. And on the left-hand side there, you can see an elevation. So what height is the point at? So again, each point in this view has got an RL and also a chainage reference to it. So what is a super alignment used for in the industry? Essentially is design, whether it's a road design that you're doing. So each road would have a sort of separate super alignment, and you can see that from the picture in front of you there. Rail design as well, so your track center lines, definitely you'd need a super alignment to determine the horizontal and vertical geometry for the center line of the track. In an airport design, you would have super alignments for your runways and your taxiways, and again, pretty typical there. And let's not forget the drainage people. So you may wish to have a super alignment for a channel design, for instance, where you could design the horizontal and vertical position as well. And many other instances that I haven't mentioned here. So where in the main menu can you create a super alignment? So essentially we're off the main menu across the top. We're in the strings, super alignment, and you can create a super alignment there. So because super alignments are quite a special string type, they do have its own little menu there. And also some of the properties here that you can see on the left hand side, which we'll show you in the live demo, some of the properties that you can set for your super alignment. And just to make note there, the last two there, the best fit and the recalc, they'll be options that are coming in version 15. And how to convert a string into a super alignment. So one at a time, you can obviously go under strings, convert, and there's an option there that's sort of in the middle of the list. You can convert it to a super alignment. Or if you want to do many strings at a time, that's definitely possible. And you need to come to the utilities panel there, which is across the top there. And the utilities are generally more your global options to pick many strings at a time. So under utilities, A to G, convert, and you can convert to super alignments in there. And just to take note here on the panel that you can see, you do have a convert mode. If you're converting a string using this method, you can select an IP method for your super alignment or the element method. Now today I'll be demonstrating the IP method, but there's a couple of other talks in the forum that will be talking about the element method. Okay, that's all for this one. Let's go live into a live demonstration. Now let's explore the super alignment string in 12D. I'm using version 15 today, an alpha release, but the information we're going to go through, you definitely can run in version 14. Just wanted to show you 15 today, and it maybe look a little bit different to you because I'm running a theme here. So version 15, you'll be able to have a certain theme. So under project, there's a themes area where you can select a different theme: design, survey, water, and so forth. I'm running the standard theme here for this presentation. Okay, so let's get started with the super alignment. But just before I do that, just wanted to show you one thing with a normal superstring and how it behaves a little bit different to the super alignment. So I've just got a pad down here that I'm going to profile, and that's the existing surface through that string there. Now I'm just going to give it some levels. So I can just go to F2, pick on the vertex and do a right mouse, come under vertex 1 and go into the height here. At the moment it's got a null height, and I want to give it a height, let's say for the entire string I want to give it a height an RL of 30, and I can apply that. Now you can see all the points have got an RL of 30 here. Now I'm just going to change the level of one of the points here. So if I just go to the next and this point here, I can drop down the option here and just say each vertex, and I want to make that, let's say 28, and apply that. Now you can see that point's 28, and also you can see in the section view that point is 28. And that point up here, which is the next point, that was at 30 here. So with a superstring, if we wanted to put another level sort of in the middle of that, we would have to insert a new point here, because at the moment it's going a straight grade between 28 and 30. And I guess that's the difference between a super alignment and a superstring. A super alignment, you could independently have a totally different geometry, not relying on additional points in the plan view. Okay, so I'll just finish out of that one and go back to my plan view here. Just maximize that there, and that one. Okay, so at the moment this is a bit of a subdivision job, land development with some road boundaries, and you can see here on the right, running around the back, there's already a super alignment in this project, and it's called RS2A01 is the name of the string. And you can see here it's got chain edges displayed every 20 meters. And we're just going to come in and create another super alignment, which sort of comes in the middle of this road reserve here and comes down here. So let's do that. So under strings, super alignment, and create a super alignment. And this comes up with the panel. We can give it a name here. So we'll stick to the same convention as the other road, RS2, and this one will be V01. What alignment do you want to put your model on to? I want to put it on the alignments model there. And what color did you want the string today? I'll go for the red. You can obviously change the line styles for the horizontal and the vertical, but that's all good. Leave that as it is. If you put a weight of 2, it'll be a little bit thicker. It'll display like the other one here you can see on the screen. We'll just touch on some of these properties because we haven't sort of got enough time to go through everything. But if you look at the chainage, which is the next one down, you can change the start chainage here of your super alignment, or you can click on the mode and you can set a chainage at the end if you wish, or another point along your super alignment. Come down to label. This is where we can pick a label style to get chainages displayed like the other one over here on the right. So if you drop down the option there, there's some label styles that come out of 12D out of the box. And if I pick on the design, RHS, it means put the chainages on the right hand side. And you can see here the major interval is 100. I'll match the other one. You can see here the 100 label is a little bit bigger and a different color to the 20s, which are a little bit smaller. And that's the difference between a major and a minor interval. So I'll just put that in there. The closure is if your super alignment, you want it to be closed. For instance, a traffic island for an intersection, a roundabout, the central island for a roundabout, and that type of thing, then you can click on that and it will be closed. But we'll just leave that open. Just come down here, just to point this one out as well, under the advanced, you can actually make your super alignment a pipe or a culvert. So at the moment there's none, but if you wanted to make it a pipe, you can select that option. You could set the justification to where you want it to be, whether the invert or the obvert, and you could put in the size in here. Just to let you know that's there, because you might want to use this for a pipeline design one day. So, okay, that's all we need. We'll just come to create, and you essentially get a little menu coming up here, which is your super alignment edit tools there. So if I just zoom out a little bit. So essentially I just want to put in a straight line off road A, sort of in the middle of the corridor, and then a bit of a radius, and then another straight line in here. So the first option here is to add an IP. So if I click on that, you should get a bit of text coming up, and that's the name of the string. And now you can select where you want your first point. Either it's there or there or there. So just picking around. But there's a couple of options to use. There's a snaps CAD option, which we can specify the center of something or the midpoint of something. So if I do a right mouse button while I'm moving my mouse here, just a right mouse, come down to snaps CAD, and we want to find a point, and we want to do the midpoint of something. So if you click on that, pick a point here and accept. You can see now as I move my mouse around, there's a target in the middle of that yellow line, and that would be the point for the start of the super alignment. So I'm just going to pick a point on the other side of the road, and then the start of the super alignment you'll see is where that yellow, the white target point is, and there it is. That's the first point. So if I do the same down here, come down to snaps CAD, point, and the midpoint. Pick a point there, and then pick another point across the road, and accept, and now there's my second point. Okay, so I'll just escape out of that just to show you something else. Just escape that and it'll stop drawing, and essentially I've just got the 2 points at the moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw 2 lines here just across the road reserve, just 2 sort of perpendicular lines to the boundaries there, and we're going to use that as another snaps CAD just to show you that option. So I'm just going to go on the side menu here under the CAD line option and just pick on that, and it's going to draw it on the base model here because that's in the control bar at the top there. It'll be on the model called base, and it'll be off yellow the color. So I just want to pick a line here, pick a point there. So you pick on that one, pick a point and accept, and now you can pick another point, but if you press P on the keyboard, it's for perpendicular, and then you can pick a point on the other side and it will draw a line perpendicular across there. Now if we draw another line towards the end of the cul-de-sac here, this time before I even draw anything, if I pick P on the keyboard and pick one of the cadastral boundaries and accept, now it will draw a perpendicular line from that string wherever I wish. So I'm just going to pick another point on the other side of the road there, and that's it there. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to use those two lines to draw a straight line through there. Now I can, if I want to add to my super alignment, which I do, I can just come in here to go add. Now I can pick point number 2 and accept, and then it'll start to draw again. And now this time, what I'm going to do is do a right mouse button and go into the Snaps CAD, but this time I want to go to point and the middle of the segment. So I just drew those lines there, so it's a line between 2 points. So the middle of that segment, so if I pick that segment there and accept, now the point 3 is in the middle of that segment. And then if I do the same at the other side, Snaps CAD, mid segment, pick that and accept, and now I've got my point 4 in the middle there. So I can just hit escape there. Okay, now that I've got my 2 straights, I want to put in an IP, which is the intersection of point 1 and 2, sort of projected down here, that also intersects the straight between point 3 and point 4. So I can click and hold the first button down, we get more options. The third one down is to insert an IP. And where do you want to insert the IP? Between point 2 and 3, pick and accept, and now you'll see it wants to insert an IP. Just want to show you here as well, if I had a set coordinate that I wanted to type in, and I want to put my IP exactly at a coordinate, so I'm just going to turn on my grid here just to demonstrate this. So let's say I want to put in an IP, just for argument's sake, between this easting and northing point there. So how do I do that? Literally I can just on the keyboard hit the space bar, and then it'll start to bring up an entry there to type in the next Y or Z coordinate. So I can just type in 256 400. That's the easting, which is the X, then space is the delimiter, not a comma, and then I want to put in the northing, which is the Y. So 7411400. 400. I'm not interested in the Z, so I'll leave that blank. And if I hit enter on the keyboard, you'll see now that point is being inserted exactly at that grid point that I just typed in. Just wanted to show you that as well, because that's some of the questions we get sometimes and how we can then do that. Now I want to move point number 3, so just come to move, and now I want to put that IP exactly at the intersection of those 2 straights there. Now you definitely need a steady hand and a good eye to get that exactly right, but we can do better than that. So while we're starting to pick the position, again we can go to right mouse, and there's the couple of options here. We can go to the intersection. And what's the intersection of? Well, I want the intersection from point 1 and point 2, which is that line, and then the intersection from 4 to 5. And as soon as if I accept on that, you'll see point 3 gets moved exactly at the intersection of those 2. Okay, so that's our IP so we can put in the curve. Now I just want to show you something else here as well. You can see point 2 there, the bearing sort of going into point 2 and the bearing leaving point 2 will be exactly the same because it's a straight line. So we can actually, so point 2 and point 4 aren't really serving any purpose there. So we can delete those, but there's an option here. If you hold the first button down, there's the filter IPs. So as soon as you click on that, if there's any IPs that are exactly the same bearing in and out, it'll delete them automatically like you just saw there. Okay, now I want to put in a curve. So the curves you can put in by clicking on the move and the edit button. If you hold that button down and come down to the change curve option there. So pick on IP number 2, and then we can put in a radius. Now I just want to show you this as well. This is like a measuring or an information sort of button you've got. So if you click on that, you can pick a point already on an arc and it will extract that radius for you. So as an example, if I pick point, say I want to pick a point on that curve there and accept, it tells you the radius of that curve through that point, which is minus 110. Okay, so if I do that again and pick the other side of the boundary there, that one there, that's minus 90. So yep, do the maths I guess. So I want halfway between that, so negative 100 and negative because it's a left hand corner. Enter, and there's my radius that's been put in there, but then that's what I'm after there. Okay, and that's all I need there. So I can just push that to the left hand side, and now let's look at the long section for that road, and we'll just put in some geometry there. So profile, pick your super alignment and accept, and now that's the existing surface there along that road. And you can see here, as you move your mouse in the section view, you can see the where your mouse is in the plan view. So again, to do the append the vertical, so if you hold the first button down, that was the first button, which is append HIP, and we've done that. The next one down is to append a VIP, so that's a vertical intersection point. So I can just click on there, pick that first point, for instance, at the beginning. I can come down here. Now if you pick the first time, it'll want to snap to the tin, and that's what it's done there. But if you don't move your mouse and pick again, it'll snap, give you a cursor snap, so in the middle of sort of nowhere there, and we can accept on that. And I can pick another point over here and accept, and that's all good. But now that's fine, but I actually want to extend maybe that road to meet road A. So let's do that, and let's do that by, if you click on the second option here, come down to this one, which is the extend. So I want to extend that straight there, so I'm going to pick that straight there, and you can see now you can actually extend that. Again, I can do a right mouse, go to intersection, and go that string and that string, and I want to extend it to the intersection of those and those strings there. And you can see here on the section view, I already had the alignment model on, and it's, hence I'm getting a red dot of where that design is for that road. So if I do a string inquiry for that one, you can see there that's road A01, and that's maybe where I want to start my new road so they match up. So I can just literally come to the move option here and move it up to here, and I want to pick that red dot there, which is the other road, and now you can see that they'll be matching nicely. Okay, I just want to do a couple other things here. I want to actually show you how you can insert, let's say, an exactly 3% grade for 50 meters, for instance. And we can do that by coming in here, and we can do the insert VIP grade, that one there. So it comes up with this panel. I want to start at VIP number 1, and the grade I want is -3%, and for a distance of 50 meters. Or you can actually select the chainage here as well. That's the option you can do. As soon as you go insert, you'll see now I've got a new IP that's been inserted exactly at -3% for 50 meters there. So then I could come and put a few more curves in there, I guess. Maybe put a 40 meter length VC in there, and maybe an 80 long VC in there. And they're the curves that I've got there. I'll just fit that view, and that's what I've got at the moment. Okay, now I just want to show you a couple of tools where you can change the grade of these. That's a bit of an oddball grade, 3.3 and 1.04. So if you hold down the first option here, and you come down to this one, change grade 2, that's the one I want to use. And what I can do, come in here, and I want to pick that grade in that direction there, and it comes up with the current grade of -3.3. And I want to say I want it to be, let's say, -4% grade there. And that just changes that to be exactly -4. And this one here, I want to change that grade. So pick that string in that direction there. And let's say I want to change it to, say, 1.5% grade there. And now I've got 1.5% grade there, and 4% there, and 3% there. Okay, and that's my vertical design. Yeah, and that's all I need to do there. So when you're done with that, you can click on the tick there, which is the finish, and there's, do you want to finish that? And you can say yes. And then yeah, there's my super alignment which I've put in, and it's got the horizontal and the vertical geometry there. Just want to show you one more thing before we finish up, how we can copy a string from CAD and bring it into 12D, and we can convert it to a super alignment. So what I'm going to do here, this other road here, this sort of long cul-de-sac road, I've got in a CAD program here. So I'll just get that up here. So I'm using Bricks CAD here, and you can see here the green line here I've drawn in CAD, just a polyline of that string, that's the radius, and the other string here. Okay, so just note there the layer, it's in CAD alignments. So I've highlighted those three. You can actually copy Control C on the keyboard in your CAD program, go back to 12D, and then Control V, and you should get that coming in like that. And just to make note there, if I just do an F2, the layer in CAD came into a layer, there we go, into 12D. So the layer of that string is CAD alignments, and the name of the string is the same, CAD alignments. Okay, so but they're three separate strings there. So see that you've got the straight, then you've got the arc, then you've got the other straight. So I want to show you a tool where we can actually join those. So you could join it by using again, under the main menu here, you've got strings edit. You could join and join many. You could use that, but I think there's a better option here under utilities. Under H to Z, you've got a head to tail. So what model do you want to use? Well, I want to pick that one there, which is the CAD string, and literally replace existing data. And I'll leave the tolerance there and just go process and finish. And now if you do an F2, you'll notice it's actually one string. There it is. It's joined those polylines together essentially. Okay, so now it's ready to be converted to a super alignment. And let's use this one here because I like this one. Under utilities, and we come down to A to G, and we can convert, and we can convert to a super alignment straight away. Okay, that's that one there. So what string do you want to convert? I'll just pick on the one string there. And this is what I was saying here, that the convert mode, the IP is a default, but you can also select the element method. I'll just stick to IP, replace existing data, and convert there. Okay, and there it is. I guess there's no changes on that because we haven't given it a label style, and I'll show you how you can do that as well quite quickly here. So rather than editing the string and setting the labels, we can do it through the strings super alignment. So tools, this is good to note as well. So for any super alignments, if you want to join them or split them or translate them or move them, or all the options here, you've got to use the super alignment tools because they're a special string type. You won't be able to use the other under the other ones. What I'm saying is these ones here under the super edit there, you've got parallel and so forth and join, not for the super alignments. Okay, so super alignments, and what we can do, there's one here where we can change the style. So this is where we could pick a whole model, for instance, if we had a lot of super alignments, but I'll just pick that one model here, and that was the CAD alignments one there, which was that one there. So this is where we can pick the style here, and I want to do design right hand side, and those intervals that we had before is 120 to be the same as before, and just go change, and now you can see that changes that straight away for me. And again, I could do that globally for many strings if I wanted to do that. And you can see the name of the string there, it's used the CAD alignments, which was in there. Okay, and that's about it. And that's all I wanted to show you today. Thanks for watching, and talk to you next time.